Scripture. The deeds that we do on earth, God will judge our heart. He knows whether or not we are doing it for selfish motivation, as means to advance a position, or to be seen favorably, or to grease elbows with people that we seem or would see to benefit us. Amen. Now then, the Lord will bless us if we do these things. We are to plant a seed. This isn't only speaking of financially, because alms can be a financial thing, that we are to sow our seed. But one thing that I'd like to point out, we are to sow a seed, but we aren't, I like what Tim says, if you eat all your seed, then you won't be able to reap a harvest. Amen? And I believe also that you can't sow all your seed, right away, because then you won't have anything to eat. Well, what are you saying, Brandon? That you can't give away everything that God gives you? Well, yes, because you need to eat, and the Lord even explains that if you were to read later on. Allow me to elaborate a little bit further. Amen. There was a story about the flood. Now, this is unfortunately it's horrible timing considering the flood in Texas. But the story went something to this nature. There was a man, and his van broke down on the side of the road, and the man came and said, "Get in my car. I'll lead you away. The flood is coming." And the man said, "No, thank you. My God will provide for me. He'll save me." He said, "Okay," and he rode away. The water began to rise enough for a boat to come through, and said, "The flood's here. Get on my boat, and we'll be able to escape out of here." And he said, "No, thank you. The Lord will provide for me." Well, finally, he was standing on top of his car, and the water was rising up to his neck. And the helicopter came and said, "Hop on, we'll save you." And the man said, "No, thank you. My God is coming to save me." And the man ends up losing his life and going to heaven and asks God, "Well, why didn't you save me?" He's told him, "I sent you a car, I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter." Amen? Which is the truth. Some people are blessed and they don't see it. They don't take the blessing that they're given. They don't see it, yeah. Amen. The Lord does provide us with finance, absolutely. And if the Lord leads you to give everything away, then it's the Lord, then by all means do that. The best way I could look at it, an analogy that I came up with today, was corn. You have to take the corn and you eat it, amen, to sustain your body. But if you eat all the kernels, you'll have no seed to sow. So we need to give what the Lord tells us to give. And that goes into the very next scripture. "But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth." Now the question would be, well, what does that mean? So we aren't to know what we are to do? Well, in some cases, no. The Lord will lead us into doing whatever He would have us do. The Lord lays it on our heart all the time. Sometimes it is a spontaneous thing in the moment that we haven't took plan for. That's our left hand not knowing what our right hand's doing. We have to act as the Lord leads us, to move like the mirror. And speaking of the analogy of corn, I thought it was pretty amazing as far as laying our treasures up in heaven. If you were to use corn as an example, from my understanding, now I'm not a farmer, but I do know that if you dry out the corn, you'll have all these kernels, and those kernels can be planted, and a stalk can grow. Now, from my understanding of corn and how it works, one kernel can be planted, and it can grow a stalk that has 3 ears on it. And each one of those ears has about 100 seeds. So I actually took the math and determined how many, if you were to plant every single last one of the seeds, amen, how many ears of corn would you get for 3 harvests? And I did the math. One seed makes 3 ears of corn. 3 ears makes 300 seeds. If you plant 300 seeds, you'll get 300 plants with 900 ears, because 300 plants times 3 equals 900. So if you were to take the 900 ears, 900 multiplied by 100, because each one of them has 100 seeds, you'd end up getting something like 90,000 seeds. And if all those were planted, it ends up giving you 270,000 ears of corn. This is when we lay our treasures up in heaven. It doesn't seem like much now. It's a little seed. And when I just seen that within just 3 generations, with just planting a seed that you're given 3 times. Now this is why I stress not to give away everything, amen, because the Lord will provide for you. I 100% believe that. But don't be like the man that refuses the help. Don't be the man that refuses the boat. Don't be the man that refuses the van and the helicopter. The Lord does give you these things, amen. But just going into this, if you get 270,000 years of corn. For the sake of argument, say